Hi, I'm Dr. Isela Garcia. Just stopping by to chat with those of you who want to log in. Um, I want to actually chat a little bit about social emotional development coming up on March 3rd. We have a session scheduled for 9:30, and I'll be doing that session. I recently had a session last week, I believe, and one of the conversation was a short session. I was asked to do social emotional development in a half day, which is really kind of virtually impossible. So it got me thinking about how many sessions I've done that have been one-day sessions. And the truth of it is, social and emotional development is a minimum of 2 days. And if you've been to my sessions, you know that I say very clearly that I don't like to skim the surface. If we're going to do this, we're going to do it well, and we'll get as far as we get. Very often we talk about how the language we use with children and the significance of the language. We talk about rewards and how rewards actually work in the moment, but in terms of supporting children's internal motivation, intrinsic motivation, the desire to learn, the excitement around learning, using external rewards is not an effective strategy, particularly when we're talking about creating opportunities that support lifelong resiliency. So, and we've also talked about punishment, and that punishment really, again, just like rewards, might do something to a child in the here and now. I think one of the things that I say pretty consistently is that you can kind of, fear a child into doing a lot of things, but it doesn't help them learn differently. It doesn't help them learn what to do if they were to approach this circumstance again. If they were in this situation again, they haven't learned any skills. We talk about misbehavior being really about being an unmet need, and that part of those needs that often need to be met are really helping children develop the skills to be able to problem solve, to know what to do when they're frustrated. And sometimes that unmet need is really making a connection with adults in the world so that they feel safe and secure. So we talk about that in the first session. We spend a lot of time talking about the type of language we use. Particularly when we're frustrated, when the child has done something, we talk about words like, how many times do I have to tell you, you know better than this, that kind of language that I think is very common and we don't even think twice about it. So we spend some time talking about what it might feel like, even if a child hears it, just what does that feel like? Then we talk about the different scripts and how to reframe that language, particularly if you're a good jobber, and good job is something that you say often with kids. So we talk about what to say instead that really help children see themselves, develop an understanding that they are confident, that they're competent, that they have something to offer to the classroom community. That's another thing we talk about, is the classroom is really a microcosm of society. So when we're talking about rules in the classroom, we have to look at rules that are meaningful, not keep your hands to yourself, because that's not really what we mean. Listen to the teacher, that's not really a lifelong sort of guiding principle. So those are the kinds of things that we do for day one. And I realize that there have been a lot of sessions that I've done day ones, but not a lot of sessions that we've done part two, the part that gets into really building a sense of community, really looking at helping children develop a strong self-awareness, or even getting to the point of understanding how to do conflict resolution well, or even how to have peer relationships and helping children develop those strong sense of connections with others. Making a friend and keeping a friend is a lifelong skill that I know many adults don't even have. And so what I think we're going to do on March 3rd, which is a Friday, I'm going to make that a part two. So if you are interested in attending that session, I would really strongly recommend that you have already attended a session the at least a 1-day session with me on social emotional development. This way, if I don't want to go through that foundational piece again, so we can start right at the part around building a sense of community in the classroom with very specific strategies. Now, having said that, I guess my challenge is that I really want everyone to have the opportunity to come, but the foundational pieces that I just described are super significant. And I think that you really have to have that in order to move into the actual strategies to support children's lifelong resiliency. So, if you have been to any of our 1-day sessions, please consider, or my 1-day session for social emotional development, please consider coming to this one as a part 2. I think this is particularly true for our Blue Ridge folks, or all the folks who attended at Blue Ridge Elementary School. It wasn't just Blue Ridge. I think we had some folks from Sholo and some other local, I think maybe we had a couple teachers from Edkey and a couple other schools within the area. So if you were one of those folks, come out and join us for day 2. Okay. Thank you all very, very much, and we'll stay connected.